Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday morning. It's 10 o'clock, and I'm Connie Myers. So this is to 70 and beyond. So I was talking with a friend. We were having a glass of wine a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about I had my team meeting that I have every week with my team for crisis knowledge management certification. And one of my team members was in his car, and I remember because as we were talking about, we're kind of talking about different ideas and different things we're doing. And he's coming up with all these phenomenal ideas. And I got to thinking about, when I used to drive all over the place. Online Ed was in Portland, Oregon, and I used to drive all over California because I met with all the associations and offices and things. And I'd come to Nevada, and when I was in my car, my brain was just going to town. I'm quite certain I drove my partners crazy because every little bit I'd be calling him and saying, you know what we could do? You know what we could do? And I'm sure it drove it nuts. But I realized that I did my best thinking when I was in the car. And she and I started talking about it the other day. And why is it? Why is it when you're at a conference and you get more done at the happy hour than you do all during the day? Why is that? And it's because your brain is feeling casual. It's not feeling under stress. It's not feeling that it has to be doing something. In the car, I put the music on or I listen to a book or something, and the ideas just flow out of my brain. If you were asking me right now to come up with an idea, what would happen? My mind would go blank. So how do we make that possible when we are maybe a little stressed, or we have a deadline, or we're trying to come up with a really good idea? And how does that happen? Well, actually, that's how To 70 and Beyond happened. About 2 years ago, I was getting ready to turn 70. I wasn't yet, and it was the Saturday before, 90 days before I turned 70. And I thought, I need to record this journey. I'm just sitting having a glass of wine the night before, and I'm like, I need to record this journey. And I looked at the calendar. My birthday was on a Saturday, and the next day was Saturday. And so at the time, I called it Headed to 70. And I thought it was just going to be until I turned 70. But that all came because I wanted to document what it was like when you're headed to 70. What is it like? How do you feel? What are you doing? And that's how the idea came, over a glass of wine. When I'm in my car, the idea is I have a recorder on my phone, and I just record because all these amazing ideas come. So you can make that happen no matter where you are. You just have to stop. So the first thing you do is you just stop and you breathe. Let your mind go blank for a couple of minutes and just take 3 really deep breaths. That brings you back to the present moment. Then whatever it is you're trying to come up with a really good idea, pause. Notice what your body is telling you. Notice what your inner voice is telling you. So pause. And then observe, okay, what kind of things are coming to mind? So think about what it is you're trying, if it's a problem you're trying to solve, or a new idea, or something new creative, or whatever it is. What do you want that outcome to be? And think about that. And then just let it go. Let it go. And pretty soon, ideas will start popping into your head, because you're putting it out, you're letting it percolate a little bit, and you'll be able to actually come up with a really, really good idea. So this all came, I had to jot it down because I knew I would forget. I had to jot it down that I wanted to talk about this. And now that my team and I are coming to the end of putting all of the materials together for the certification, it's now time for us to start thinking about how we're going to market, who we're going to market with, how it's all going to be put together. And so I wanted them all to have their creative juices flowing. So we went through this exercise yesterday, and just letting go. We'll take the next week, let go of because we have a few little things to finish up, but just let it go. And pretty soon things will start showing up that will tell us all the right ways of doing something to move forward with the certification. Who we're going to market to, how we're going to market it, what kind of collateral. They came up with 2 beautiful logos, one for our new company and also one for the certification, that are just spectacular. They're amazing. And it was all because all of us had our creative juices flowing. So what can you do this week? Think about something that you either want to create or something, and maybe you've got a problem you're trying to solve or a decision that you're trying to make, and you need to be creative about it. How do you go? Just take the time. Stop. So stop actually stands for stop, think, observe, and then act. So, well, I don't know what the P is. Wait a minute. That's not a P. Anyway, it's an acronym. I'll come back next week, let you know. See, my creative juices are not flowing all that well because I'm trying to think about what I'm going to say to you. Anyway, but just stop and observe what it is that you're feeling, and then let it go. Don't try to dwell on it. Don't, just continuously think about it, because the ideas come when you're not thinking about it. That's when your inner voice and your creativity come to the top. If you're trying to dwell on something, as well as I'm sure you know, when you're trying to dwell on something, nothing happens. It's when you think about what you want the outcome to be. What does that look like? Breathe into it. Observe, is your inner voice telling you, your gut telling you, well, that's kind of right, but it's not quite right? If that's the case, then put that out there and then let it percolate and come back and be what it is really supposed to be. A good example of that is how I ended up doing a disaster certification. I mean, I took, for a moment when I was writing my vision, and after I had decided I was going to quit, and then somebody yelled at me for it and said I couldn't quit. I just a split second, I said, wonder what that time I spent, that 7 years I spent as a FEMA inspector and a trainer, what was that all about with what I'm doing today? And it showed up. And that's what happens. It shows up. So if you have something this week that you're worrying about or something that you want to do, observe it, bring it to the forefront, recognize it, and then let it go. And I promise you, the right idea will show up just for you. So your assignment this week is get creative. And I hope, I'm in my bedroom today because it is 112. It was already over 100 degrees here by 9 o'clock. And tomorrow's supposed to be even hotter. It's supposed to be 113 at my house. That's hot. So I'm not outside my garden today. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Be creative. Come up with something really fun to do, whether it's for your family or just your work, whatever it is. Be creative. And I'll see you next week on To 70 and Beyond.